September 13th, 1982. It's just like any other Monday as former movie star Princess Grace Kelly of Monaco and her daughter Stephanie are driving to the train station for a trip to Paris. The princess's chauffeur offered to drive the pair since her vehicle was over a decade old, but she declined because they needed the extra space for her belongings. And everything was going fine at first. The royal mother and daughter were cruising down the picturesque roads without a care in the world, until "I can't stop, the brakes won't work, I can't stop," Stephanie heard her mother frantically scream. She tried to pull the handbrake, but the car kept racing forward. In front of them was a sharp turn off a cliff with no guardrail in sight. And that's when they went flying off the 120-foot cliff at full speed. The two were immediately rushed to the nearest hospital. By some miracle, the daughter Stephanie only suffered treatable injuries and was released from the hospital the next day. But her mother, Princess Grace, never regained consciousness again and ended up passing away at age 52.
Princess Grace Kelly, died today at age 52. The cause? Injuries resulting from her car accident yesterday. She left a highly acclaimed acting career in 1956 to marry Prince Rainier of Monaco.
Stephanie later revealed that her mom was suffering from a headache and even seemed to black out for a second. It's believed that she was having a brain hemorrhage that caused her to crash the car. Doctors said it was an accident which, if it occurred at home, well, she might have sat down and perhaps felt better soon. They thought she either confused the gas for the brake pedals during the hemorrhage, or she just couldn't move her legs. Grace Kelly's death was heartbreaking for the royal family and the rest of the world. She wasn't just a princess, but also a super famous American movie star who was a household name at the time. Her untimely passing became a worldwide story that everyone was talking about. And it wasn't long until people started to bring up the curse. Because Grace Kelly's death wasn't just some random disaster, it was actually part of a terrifying trend that plagued the powerful Monaco royal family for hundreds of years. The story goes that a curse was put on the family in the 13th century when Prince Rainier I kidnapped a beautiful woman and did unspeakable things to her. That woman turned out to be a witch, and in that moment she cursed the royal family for eternity. Never will a Grimaldi find true happiness in marriage, she promised. The curse was allegedly cast around the same time Prince Rainier I and his cousin Francois Grimaldi seized control of Monaco. They pretended to be monks to gain access to the land, and then took over the fortress on the top of the Rock of Monaco. Centuries later, they would turn this tiny country into one of the wealthiest countries per capita on Earth. A sunny paradise for the world's richest and shadiest people. But the curse never disappeared, and Princess Grace Kelly was just one of his victims. The Monaco royal family may have fortune and fame, but love, happiness, those things have always painfully eluded them. This is the story and the curse of the Monaco royal family, and it offers us a glimpse into the nasty cutthroat world of royal bloodlines, marrying into power, and inheriting the throne. Stay dangerous and let's get into it. And by the way, if you ever wanted to start a YouTube channel, but you were hesitant because you don't have a good camera, mic, or editing skills, then you gotta know about this app called InVideo AI. InVideo AI is like ChatGPT but for videos. It allows you to create ready-to-publish videos using just text prompts, meaning that it writes a script, it selects the stock footage, and it records the voiceover all for you. Check it out, they're the sponsor of today's video. First, you open the InVideo AI interface and type in your prompt. You want to be as detailed as possible. Don't just say a YouTube short about space travel, say something like create a YouTube short about how far we come when it comes to space travel, make it cheeky and use an authoritative British male voiceover. Click generate and you'll get the first draft, something like this.
In the blink of an eye, we've gone from gazing up at the stars to boldly venturing among them.
Pretty good for a first draft, right? And then you can make edits to it using just text prompts. For example, you can type change the voiceover to an American female voice and start the video with an interesting fact about space travel. Now let's see how it works.
Did you know? Space travel can make you taller. Now, let's dive into our journey.
Pretty cool, right? You can even have it create videos in your own replicated voice. You can use InVideo for explainers, educational content, and video essays as well. So if you're ready to start pumping out videos effortlessly, then click the link below and sign up to try InVideo for free. You can make 4 videos a week on their free plan, but if you're serious, I recommend their $20 plan, which removes the watermark and gives you access to millions of royalty-free stock footage clips, a human-sounding voiceover, and much more. Sign up with the link below, and thanks to InVideo AI for sponsoring this video. So you're the Grimaldi family in the 13th century, and you've just taken over a humble little plot of land known as Monaco. But things aren't going as well as you hoped. See, Monaco was already on the brink of financial collapse when you took over, and now that you've seized control of the territory, you started to realize that making a country profitable was going to be no easy feat. But that's when Prince Charles III had a stroke of genius that would go on to change Monaco forever, the Monte Carlo Casino.
Monte Carlo has invented a new way of enabling clients to lose money. It is a variation of roulette, only the gamblers stake on numbered aeroplanes. In this way, a flight from your private gold standard is rendered practically painless. But just to show how easy it is, we'll put a little on 16 and see what happens. 16 it is, monsieur. Voulez-vous accepter un basinful?
See, the Monte Carlo Casino wasn't just any ordinary gambling house for degenerates. This was a glamorous, elite-only establishment that looked more like a building for royals than a casino. And if you think about it, the wealthy elite liked gambling too, but there was no upscale casino for them to go to. So Prince Charles III marketed this place as the place elites could go to if they wanted to gamble their riches away, far away from all the common plebs. And the casino is still open to this day, by the way, but these days anyone can go visit and gamble in it. But once everyone heard about Monaco's new reputation as a playground for the wealthy, a lot of money started flowing into the country. Tourism was at an all-time high, and it wasn't just your regular low-class tourists. Monaco was attracting the richest tourists on the planet who were eager to blow as much money as humanly possible. And the cash wasn't just flowing into the casino either. The entire country and the Grimaldi family themselves started feeling the positive effects of the high-end tourism. But as good as things looked on the outside for Monaco's royal family, the family curse was still alive and well. The Monaco royal family curse started kicking in shortly after the Monte Carlo Casino was established. First came the misfortunes of Prince Albert I. He married a 19-year-old woman from a prestigious family named Lady Mary Victoria Hamilton. The pair were arranged by their parents, and although neither of them were super interested in the arrangement, they did end up getting married, and they returned from their honeymoon to discover that they were expecting a child. But after just a year of being married, Mary Victoria fled the country with her mother after feeling neglected by her husband. When his kid Louis II was born, Prince Albert didn't even go to see him. And after that, Mary Victoria refused to ever see her husband again. She ended up getting the marriage nullified by the Vatican, fell in love with a Hungarian count, and had 4 more kids with him, leaving Prince Albert I in the dust. And his only son Prince Louis II wouldn't escape the curse either. Louis was stationed in Algeria after enrolling in military college, and while he was there, he met a cabaret singer named Mary Juliette. The two had a fling, and in 1898, their daughter Charlotte was born out of wedlock, which was really frowned upon back then, especially for members of the royal family. Not wanting to face the shame, Louis returned to Monaco a year later without Mary Juliette or their daughter. It seemed like he just intended to forget about their existence altogether until a decade later he realized that he needed something from them. See, Monaco was undergoing a constitutional crisis, trying to figure out who would succeed Louis II because he didn't have any legal heir. So all of a sudden, it was pretty beneficial for Charlotte to be his kid. So he claimed her and she became the official heir to the throne of Monaco. Imagine going from a bastard child that your father abandoned to becoming a literal princess of the monarchy. That was the case of the now Princess Charlotte. Princess Charlotte ended up marrying Count Pierre de Polignac in 1920. She would eventually give birth to their son Prince Rainier III of Monaco, who would later become Grace Kelly's husband, the princess that died in the car accident that we talked about at the beginning of this video. But there was a problem. Like many of the marriages before them, Pierre had been chosen by Charlotte's father, and what her father didn't know was that Pierre was gay. The couple decided to separate quietly before getting officially divorced on paper a decade after being married to each other. Princess Charlotte went on to have a few relationships after her marriage, but it was clear that the curse had taken its toll. And after she passed away in 1977, the family curse just got passed on to the next generation. After Grace Kelly died in the car wreck, she left behind her 3 children, Caroline, Albert II, and Stephanie. Stephanie was the one in the car with her during the fatal accidents. And this next generation of the royal family had just as challenging or scandalous lives as the ones before them. Just take Caroline's life for example. Her first marriage was to a French guy named Philip, who was 17 years older than her and known for being a player. That marriage only lasted 2 years before they got divorced. A year after her mother's death, she met her second husband Stefano, the son of an Italian businessman. They had 3 kids together and everything was going well until he tragically died in a speedboat accident off the coast of Monaco at the age of 30. One friend witnessed the accident and said, "He told me only a day ago that this would be his last race. It was too dangerous and he was too fond of his family to take any more risks." Around a decade later, Caroline remarried for a 3rd time to Prince Ernst August of Hanover, who was a distant cousin of Queen Elizabeth. But that also ended in divorce, and she would never remarry again. Her younger sister Stephanie was also a controversial figure in the royal family. She was tortured by the media after the accident and was accused of being the driver when the car went over the cliff. And later on, the princess became known for her wild love life. She dated a handful of celebrities like actor Rob Lowe, along with martial artist Jean-Claude Van Damme. Eventually, she got with her former bodyguard Daniel Ducret and had 2 kids with them before they got married in 1995, only for Daniel to get caught cheating only a year into their marriage. And then the paternity of Stephanie's third daughter Camille came into question when she was born in 1998. To this day, she is not included in line to the throne of Monaco like her siblings. And Stephanie would go on to have a lot more interesting affairs. She married an elephant trainer, got divorced, then a Portuguese circus acrobat, before divorcing him less than a year later. But none of these stories would even compare to their brother Albert, the current monarch of Monaco. After Prince Rainier III died in 2005, his only son Albert II was now crowned the Prince of Monaco. But in his early years, Prince Albert II was much more concerned with other things. He had affairs with every beautiful woman he could, from actresses like Cecilia Peck to models like Brooke Shields. Soon Albert earned the nickname of the Playboy Prince. During his escapades, he ended up having 2 children out of wedlock, a daughter with a real estate agent from California who he had a fling with on vacation, and a son with an Air France flight attendant whom he had dated for a few years. But still, it seemed that the Playboy Prince had no intentions of settling down anytime soon. And usually it wouldn't be that big of a deal for a rich guy to spend his life chasing around women, but it wasn't that simple for Prince Albert. According to the country's constitution, if he didn't produce his own biological heir to the throne, then Monaco would become a part of France. But the problem was the children he had outside of marriage wouldn't be eligible. So if he didn't get married and have some legitimate kids ASAP, it would be a huge problem for the royal family and for all the ultra wealthy people who call Monaco home. But by this time, Prince Albert was already 50 years old already. He had never been married, and his chances of having a biological heir was getting slimmer by the day. The prince's playboy lifestyle was literally creating a national emergency for Monaco. Soon after realizing he held the fate of the country in his hands, Prince Albert quickly announced that he was now engaged to an Olympic swimmer from South Africa named Charlene Wittstock. That is the level of status we're talking about here, where you can just pick a gorgeous Olympic swimmer to be your wife out of the blue. The 3-day wedding in 2011 cost £53 million, but it wasn't as magical as you would think. Charlene allegedly tried to escape just days before the ceremony with a one-way ticket to Johannesburg. She cried throughout the entire wedding and later admitted how she felt very lonely in Monaco. But despite the tears, the couple would go on to welcome a pair of twins, a girl and a boy. And just like that, Monaco officially had a legitimate heir and the country was safe from being dissolved. If Monaco would have gotten dissolved, the French would have just destroyed the rich and powerful's favorite playground. So you're one of the richest people on the planet and you're looking for a place to be your permanent residence. And there's lots of potential spots to choose from Bermuda to Dubai. But why settle for an isolated island or a barren hot desert when you have Monaco? Nestled in the south of France right next to Italy, even though it's smaller than Central Park in New York City and you can walk across the entire country in less than an hour, Monaco is heaven for people like you. And there are a few reasons for this. Number 1, the neighbors you have. You don't want to be stuck around a bunch of commoners. You want to be surrounded by other like-minded wealthy citizens. Which is great because pretty much everyone in Monaco is loaded. There are over 12,000 millionaires living there, meaning that 1 out of every 3 people living in Monaco has millions in the bank. There are a ton of Formula 1 drivers that call Monaco home, including Lewis Hamilton, so you only ever have to deal with people of your pedigree. And your kids will only go to school with the offspring of other rich people. Number 2, the exclusivity. Monaco's small size makes it very exclusive. It's even too small to have its own airport, so many of the rich fly into the city of Nice on a private jet, and then they charter a helicopter to Monaco. You can still get to Monaco by car or train, but that's for the workers and the tourists. This exclusivity extends to the real estate market as well. With such limited land available, there are simply fewer properties to go around, which makes land and home in Monaco super expensive. The average resold house costs over $5 million. This means that some of the most expensive homes on the planet are located in Monaco, and owning land here is a major status symbol. This limited access to Monaco also provides another key benefit to the rich, which brings us to number 3, privacy and safety. In Monaco, there's 1 police officer for every 100 residents. Monaco does get a lot of tourists, but in terms of living, it's basically impossible to live there if you're not part of the 0.1%. Which means it's an extremely safe place to live. And personally speaking, I've been to places like Monaco and Dubai, and most rich people would simply rather live in Monaco. It's on the beautiful French Riviera, you're only a short flight away from all the other places in Europe, it's got that posh European feel, it's got the heritage, compared to being in the middle of a hot barren desert that is Dubai. But the most important reason the rich love Monaco is because of the tax system. Or should I say the lack of a tax system. Because when you're a citizen of Monaco, no matter how much money you make, there's absolutely zero personal income tax or capital gains tax. There's no property taxes in Monaco, and the country doesn't even have a corporate tax either. Pretty much every cent of your money is 100% yours if you live in Monaco. And unlike in America where Uncle Sam can tax you no matter where you live, if you're a Monaco citizen, you can just incorporate your businesses there, pay zero tax, while you go off and live in Switzerland or wherever if you don't want to stay in Monaco. But this relaxed business and financial climate doesn't just attract legitimate business people, it also attracts plenty of shady people as well. So you're a shady person that just stole a bunch of money. Maybe you ran some financial scam in Asia, maybe you're a corrupt government official in China or wherever, and you've been funneling money into your own pocket, or maybe you're a Russian oligarch. You got the bag, but where are you gonna store this bag? An obvious choice is Monaco. Monaco has always been known as the place to launder your money if you're a big-time criminal, tax evader, corrupt government official, or terrorist.
There was that famous quote that Monaco is a sunny place for shady people. Was that fair?
At a certain period in time, it was a pretty accurate description.
This earned Monaco the reputation as a sunny place for shady people. And that reputation was a problem for Monaco because in the last few decades, Europe has been really trying to crack down on money laundering. And Monaco was next in line to get on the international gray list for money laundering. This is a list of countries that are under threat of getting blacklisted from the international financial system because people commonly use these countries for money laundering. The Council of Europe said that Monaco has serious vulnerabilities in its anti-money laundering system, aka everyone thinks Monaco is still the money laundering capital of the world. And if they didn't make a change, the other European nations would crush Monaco's economy and the money would stop flowing in. This was a problem for the royal family, because foreign money is their lifeblood. So when Prince Albert II stepped on the scene, he vowed that Monaco would change its ways. And people believed him. But then everything changed in 2021, when a mysterious website appeared out of nowhere. It was called Le Dossier des Riches. The page was filled with leaked reports that reviewed a boatload of corruption in Monaco, and it looked really bad for the Playboy Prince. The secret documents showed that several members of Albert's close inner circle were committing a ton of fraud and giving favors to their friends. This included his wealth manager, his lawyer, his chief of staff, and his childhood best friend. It was revealed that these guys were also manipulating Monaco's valuable real estate markets. Imagine it like this, in America, it's extremely hard to manipulate the real estate market because America is just too big. There's too many houses that you have to buy or sell to manipulate the price. But Monaco, the country that is not just smaller than New York City, but smaller than Central Park in New York City, if you're in a position of power in a tiny country like this, it's insanely easy to manipulate the markets. To give you context, there are only 19,534 homes in Monaco, less than 20,000. And these corrupt government officials had their grubby little fingers all over it. And what's the one thing all these corrupt government officials had in common? They were all super close to Prince Albert II, the ruler of Monaco. So now all eyes were on him. Was he actually trying to turn the country away from his shady ways? Or was he just a complete hypocrite this entire time? And so the prince did the only thing he could do to save face. He fired everyone. The official story is that all those people resigned from their positions. But let's be honest, they probably didn't have much of a choice. But it's important to remember that this move was purely to appease the anti-money laundering officials of Europe. Because in reality, Prince Albert is still a prince. And this position is not just some ceremonial thing like it is in other countries. No, Monaco really is a monarchy. Prince Albert can literally say or do whatever he wants. And there's zero chance he'll ever step down from the throne until he passes it on to his son. As Prince Albert's former head of intelligence explained, quote, "There is no authority who can oust him, and I don't think Albert is capable of stepping down," end quotes. Now, he still has to keep appearances of a just noble prince, but him and his family are true modern-day royalty. But as you've seen with the family curse, you can have all the money and power in the world, but without any peace of mind or happiness, is it really worth it? Is the Monaco royal family actually cursed for eternity? Are all their members destined for tragedy beyond what us mortals are capable of? All because of a curse cast by a witch all those centuries ago? Well, probably not. Many of the family's relationship struggles boiled down to bad matchups that were more about politics than love. But that's the thing about royalty and power. If you want to keep it, you better be willing to get into arranged marriages, abandon your loved ones, your kids, and so on. Today, the Grimaldi family is worth over $1 billion, making them one of the richest royal families on the planet. And that's just the money we know about. The real question is, would you be willing to live a life like this if it meant that you were actually above the law as a monarch? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, stay dangerous.